What's up, people? We are back with more of Fall Milestone 1. In the previous video, we started to get thoughts from Rune's perspective, which I have no idea how that exactly works, unless we're currently like inside Rune / Sarah's mind, which is possible as well, but the only way to find out is to continue, so let's do that. Father. Why, Father? Why did you resurrect me? Why did you imprison me in this shell? Why didn't you leave me to roam free for all eternity? I may never know the answers to those questions, but I suspect this may be penance for my past actions. And if I could, somehow, undo the damage that I inflicted upon so many people in my youth, then perhaps some manifestation of redemption awaits. There are several instances of well-deserved reprimands to be had. There were, without a doubt, some instances that could only be resolved with my death, and when I remembered my past deeds and all the pain I've inflicted, I reconciled that I should not have been born at all. What? What in the world am I? Who does this silhouette belong to? Is my father, the one who integrated the silhouette directly into my memory, truly Sid Zevitz? Or is it the man whom I had unconsciously sought to destroy all those years ago? Is it my brother, Rudo Zevitz? Whose memories are these? Are they mine? Or are they Rune's? To be in possession of that abhorrent, contemptuous Rune Zevitz may very well be a curse. She should not have been born into this world. But were it not for her, I wouldn't exist today. My fate is tied to Rune's. But who am I right now? Am I Sarah? If I am Sarah, then are these memories somehow temporary additions from Rune? No memories can be shared between two completely different entities. So what does that make Sarah? What am I? Who am I? Am I Sarah? Or am I Rune? I have absolutely no clue. But if one thing is for certain, I would desire that Master Rudo be free of the constant torment of my paradoxical existence. If he truly does find my very existence contemptuous, then I would gladly... Would I die for him? Would I allow myself to be dismantled and disposed for him? What? Why am I second-guessing myself? Why can't I commit to a determined action? If only I could have seen Miss Selphine and Miss Ritona once more. If only I could have bid them both farewell. Sarah. Yes? Your dismantlement will be determined by a collective vote tomorrow. As you have no other task to carry out for the remainder of the day, you may return to Laboratory 9. I advise you to go directly there. I've already spoken to Vothel and the others, all whom are awaiting your arrival. You will do as they command. Understood, Master Rudo. Thank you for utilizing my services to the fullest capacity. What? She's smiling? Sarah. Did I not previously forbid you from smiling? I have failed to abide by your command. On several occasions, I made an active effort to withhold my emotions. What? She looks happy. But I have no means to reinforce it, as I lack the privilege of doing so. If you couldn't abide by my command, then why did you follow through with it before? How could you bring yourself to abide by my illogical and even preposterous command without a single word of complaint? Because that is what you desired of me. Sarah, why are you smiling? Because, Master Rudo, I'm feeling happy. Happy? Yes, happy. After all these years, when I've done nothing but be a cause of concern, I'll finally be able to give you what you've always wanted. And what is it that I've always wanted? Relief. Because after tomorrow, I will never have the potential to become Rune. I tried so hard to leave here in an attempt to escape my fate, my impending dismantlement, my impending death. But if I had taken such a selfish approach and disobeyed your commands, you would have shouldered the responsibility for my actions. If my services are no longer necessitated, then my continued existence serves no purpose. I have accepted my fate, Master Rudo. If you can feel happiness, do you not feel fear as well? Do you not fear death? I do feel fear. I fear what tomorrow brings. I fear death so much that I could run away this very moment. But what I fear, more than death itself, is that my continued existence would only serve to be a source of eternal torment for you. For me? Yes, Master Rudo. For you. You're always so caring and compassionate. But everything became an afterthought once you were forced to observe Rune's every action. But you did it out of concern, because you wanted to love your sister so very much. She couldn't understand your actions then, but I'm certain that she can now. Sarah, how much do you remember? How many of Rune's memories have you inherited? I do not know. But ever since my activation, the fragments of Rune's memories have slowly regained their context. But whether these memories are truly Rune's, or whether they are my own, I cannot say. Tell me something, Sarah. What in the world are you? I do not know. I really wish I could answer that question myself. But if one thing is for certain that can be said aloud, Rudo, I'm just a girl that admires you as my brother. I don't know why. I just want to know what that means. God damn it. Rudo will never know the meaning of loneliness, my dear. I promise you, he will never be alone. Sid Zevitz. You goddamn son of a bitch! Rune. Rudo. Did you just call me Rune? Is it okay? Is it okay if I could call you brother again? Call me whatever you want. You mean it? Brother, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for everything. Oh, brother, it's all rushing back to me now in a vivid array of formulas that I've seen countless times. a concept that I could never solve as a child, this nostalgic sensation of contractions in my heart that I've longed to express to you. No matter how hard I tried though, my destructive tendencies oppressed these very emotions that I had struggled to force to the surface. I could never reconcile those feelings, not while envy and loathing overwhelmed all other sensations, but all along, the solution to solving these seemingly infinite formulas was never as complicated as it seemed. Perhaps it was too simple for my mind to comprehend. But I suppose there's no single way of defining it, not when it already has so many names. After Rune died, several regrets stacked up in my mind. I wished I never gave birth to her. I wished that I never moved to Cadia, that I never applied to work at Zevit's enterprise. I wished that I never met you, and that I just stayed in my hometown and succeeded my family's business. Most of all, I wished that I had never fallen in love with your ambition. Those were the source of regrets that overwhelmed my mind. But truth be told, I wouldn't have done it any differently. I would have never known the joy of loving you, becoming a mother, and raising our children. I wouldn't have traded any of those experiences for a second chance. I love you all too much to give any of that up. But just thinking about it brings me to tears. I couldn't even think about living a life without my dear daughter. Regardless of what she did to me, I still would have chosen to bring my one and only daughter into this world. Aline, there was never a dull moment in my life. From the moment I met you, Sid Zevitz, nothing made me feel more fulfilled than becoming your wife, becoming a mother, giving birth to Rudo. And even though the world as we know it may never forgive her for everything she's done, I was glad to have given birth to Rune. I'm glad that she was able to experience life for as long as she did. Aline, I love you, Sid Zevitz. Thank you for everything. Aline, take care of yourself and Rudo for me. She's smiling. Wait just a moment. The both of you. I have a favor to ask. Would you both allow Rune to join your company? She always wanted to be free from the outer pole, free to explore and travel the world. Neither of you will need to be concerned for her physical welfare, as she is an automaton and will never succumb to mana shock. I can promise you both that Rune will never hold either of you back. I know she can be of great assistance. Mr. Zevitz, it wasn't, and never will be, a problem of whether Rune can be of assistance or not. So without further ado, I'd like to announce that we would love to take her alongside with us. Do you really mean it, Miss Selphine? Drop the miss, Rune. And yes, I really do mean it. Your companion is a hard one to figure. In what manner of speaking? It's difficult enough, just pinpointing any one particular manner of speaking. But if I had to express it in words, I'm relieved to be leaving Rune in capable hands, such as hers. I've been at the helm of this company for quite some time, and in that time, I've learned to discern between sincere individuals and treacherous ones. As far as my eyes can tell, Miss Selphine does not appear to be acting out of self-interest. Rather, she allows her selflessness to speak through her actions. Her genuinely curious nature serves only to emphasize that strange, yet radiant shine of strength. Decades ago, The man who was in the preliminary steps of creating Zevit's enterprise also possessed a similar radiance. I suppose my lack of it would explain my own defects. Rudo, Ritona, did you just... Yes, Rudo? He went straight for my name. It almost feels too awkward and trivial to draw attention to, though. Take this with you. What is this exactly? It's currently under development, but this is a device which operates similarly to your Comcrafty in the way that it relays information over a vast distance. After selecting a shared wavelength between two devices, it will begin sending electromagnetic pulses directly into the mana stream. Ideally, it will be best to have a message in mind prior to usage. That sounds too perfect to be true. Science sure sounds like it could be a real match for Manacrafty one day. But Rudo, from what we've ascertained from our time spent here, there's no viable means of sending messages all the way to our homeland. The mana streams in the outer pole are far too sparse, and cannot hope to carry our message from our intended destination. In addition, a constant stream of purified mana would be required to facilitate travel over a great distance. Neither you nor Rune can facilitate mana, since there's no practical method of outer pole inhabitants to draw out purified mana. We migrate that issue through the use of sediment stones. We will provide the purified mana on our end, and facilitate any message you may necessitate. I suppose you could, but... Purified mana is more precious than any amount of gallows a pawn proprietor could ever offer. Using sediment stones just for this sounds incredibly wasteful, both in terms of finances and resources. Personally, I don't think we could ever afford the asking price for even one Class 3 stone. Wait a second. So he's offering? I appreciate the offer very much, but if you were to expend that amount of money just to keep contact with us, wouldn't your board of directors voice an objection? Why would it matter to them? The only item I have provided you with is a prototype, purely for the sake of conducting field tests for future production. Oh, how I hate that smug smirk of his. If there's one way of pulling wool over the eyes of the board of directors, that pretense would be thick enough. On an official stance, however, should this device prove useful, we may very well see the expansion of a network for facilitating such communication in the future. Telephone. We would phase out the need for message couriers via freight around the entire outer pole. We will succeed in the all-encompassing expansion throughout the continent, a goal that both my father and Albus always strove for. Additionally, since I am entrusting you both with the baggage that the company has no interest in having around, I can guarantee that the complaints will be non-existent, as Director Crowley's brains. Eloquently put. I don't believe I've heard Rudo sound this animated before. From our mind dive with Albus, I was under the impression that Rudo Zevitz was more cunning, for lack of a better descriptor. But I suppose he had to develop his cunning when he was actively preventing his sister from committing further atrocities. But at least, for the time being, I want to be able to remain in contact with Rune as she begins her journey with you both. Do my eyes deceive me? I see. Whatever you say. Did I just see those cold, callous eyes actually relax for just a split second? Oh, wait, Wait just a moment! Selphine!
Hmm?
What's the matter? I just remembered something. I'm so sorry to ask you this, but could you please wait here for a little while? I need to tell Mr. Folster something before I leave. Oh, okay. Excuse me, Mr. Folster. Where are you taking me?
Hmm?
You need a bottle of Zavidi? You come to the perfect place, Mr. Folster. We have one bottle of that brand. To tell you the truth, I was paid to carry this random bottle of ale some 2 years ago. No one ever ordered it, so I was thinking about tossing the damn thing. Thank the man of God that you showed up to order this dusty old bottle. Here you go, Mr. Folster. There's parchment tucked behind the label? Hey, Albie! If you're reading this, then that means everything has gone according to plan. What plan, you might be asking yourself? My good friend, there is a plan that I never made you aware of. But before we dive into all that, I wanted to get something off my chest. I'm sorry, Albus. I couldn't have told you about my grand plan, old friend. But everything I did in Aline's memory, as her final request to me. She made me swear to never let Rudo ever learn the true meaning of loneliness, especially the kind that will come along after I'm gone. We both knew, Albie, that even after Aline passed away, I wouldn't have much time before it was my turn. That's why I set out to fulfill my wife's final wish in the remaining time I had left in this world. So where should I start? I suppose we better take this back to before I ever met Aline, before the company really took off, all the way back to the time when we were slaving away in those stinking coal mines. Back to the day that I found those sediment stones, when I dedicated my life to studying the magic of mana. Who would have thought that my passion would end up being the death of me, huh? I don't think I'll ever get a chance to reconcile with Rudo before I die either. But life's short. Anyways, I remembered reading something all those years ago. There was a book about mana crafty, which was focused on this particular kingdom in the Inner Pole. The ruling royalty of this kingdom had a hereditary trait unlike any I've ever read about before. Everything from the personal memories of the present ruler to the experience of past rulers may be directly inherited by the successor of the following generation. They called it the Path Down Mana Crafty, which was entirely exclusive to the lineage of royals. Now that got me thinking after a while. Since everyone from the Outer Pole has non-mana crafters, it's impossible to replicate the Path Down Mana Crafty with them. That much we can establish. But after spending hundreds of hours in research and study, I made two crucial discoveries concerning the properties of mana. First, in the event that any individual dies, their purified mana does not dissipate and disperse into thin air. It may remain dormant within the cadaver for a great sum of time. Second, there is a subtype of purified mana that we may only distinguish post-mortem, which consists of that person's experiences, memories, and every emotion they experienced. I dubbed this subtype as memory mana. Interestingly enough, I read that long before humans ever harnessed mana into mana crafty, ancient civilizations, particularly the ones that had once culturally practiced cadaver preservation, may have embalmed the deceased in order for them to retain every single bit of their former life's memory mana. But I digress. What I'm trying to say is that when we recovered Room's corpse, I'd attempted to extract every ounce of memory mana that I could in order to integrate it within a prototype automaton that I created in Rune's image. That attempt was successful. I'm sure you've noticed. But I ran into one problem. If I brought her back as she was before, what would stop her from repeating the same tragedies? So I came up with my very own method for integrating the missing emotional component of Rune's memory mana, by using my own emotions as a surrogate, to be fully incorporated into the prototype automaton. This way, she would be free from the defect that robbed her of all emotional output. But this method wasn't without its issues. You see, unlike the conventional mana crafters from the inner pole, performing the path down mana crafty may not be such a stretch. But for the rest of us unlucky bastards stranded on the outer pole, we can't manifest and draw out purified mana so easily. As a result, I drew out a lot more purified mana over the course of my final 2 years, and I know that when I reach the lowest threshold, I will have induced mana shock. That is the only scenario in which my experiment in resurrecting Rune succeeds. I didn't have much time left anyways. Which means, my dear friend, I made a conscious decision to activate Lab 9's emergency protocol. I decided to end my life in order to become the catalyst for the path down mana crafty, which would be triggered by ensuing flood of colored mana, all for the sake of resurrecting Rune by integrating her memory mana into a lifeless machine. It's anybody's guess now who the automaton will take after more. Will it have its own persona, or will it inherit Rune's? I think the better question at this point would be how others would perceive its existence. Would it become a threat to many, or a savior to some? For those people whom it causes great concern, will they make an attempt to breach the barrier and learn to accept it, or will they denounce it even further as an object, worthy of being labeled blasphemous? Whatever the outcome, the only thing I know is that the miracle of mana made this, and much more, possible. My only regret is that I won't live long enough to unravel the multitudes of mysteries remaining for mana, but the same can be said of all others who follow and share in my passion for the study. I'll never know if objects imbued with memory mana will ever be categorized as living entities, and whether or not my final work will bring about that very ethics-driven debate. So I was actually sort of right? I mean, I was sort of thinking that he actually took Rune's brain and sort of implemented it in Rune's, but obviously that is too silly, because to be honest, like, how many years since now, obviously flesh and all that sort of stuff that just rots away off of the corpse, right? The brain is probably part of that. I wouldn't have any know. I'm not a biologist or anything, so I wouldn't know about that part, but at least I thought it was some part of Rune that just kept her memories, her emotions, and all that sort of stuff. Well, the lack of emotions at least, but the thing that made Rune. And yeah, I should have thought that it would be the soul, but it is apparently the soul. I just didn't think of that part, and also the part of where I thought at least that flooding the entire laboratory Lab 9 with colored mana or purified mana, I can't remember which one exactly, but because that was how Rune died, that when Sid sort of committed or sacrificed himself with the same process as how Rune died, that it would reverse Rune's death somehow. I mean, obviously it's very, very broad, but in some regards it's kind of right. I wasn't obviously completely right, because who the hell would have known this would be possible? But yeah, apparently his death, the catalyst for the path down mana crafty. But yeah, on the technical spectrum, I will share with you what those documents, which I had disposed of at the time of my death, pertain to. The documentation concerning the deactivation of the onboard active emotion engine had been disposed of in order to prevent herself from disabling her emotional output. The logs pertaining to the development of the automaton chassis, all onboard components, and so on, have been disposed of in order to prevent any effort to recreate the prototype. It's all a matter of pride and principle, Albie. I'm certain you would have done the same. In conclusion, I'm afraid of the treatment that she will be subjected to. Did I make a mistake by creating her in this era, which is still very much overrun by narrow-minded imbeciles? I'll never know now, will I? But if you're reading this, then maybe my efforts weren't completely in vain. It'll mean that I fulfilled my promise to my dear darling Aline, because that bright boy of mine has finally accepted her as his family. That's all I got, my good friend. You know I wasn't much of a writer in my life, and certainly not when I'm dead in the dirt now. Take care, Albie. P.S. Albus Foster, from the moment I met you, you've always been a dear friend and brother to me, and you always will be. Nothing will ever change that fact. We'll always be together, Albie. Words can never express the gratitude and love that I feel for you. I know that these answers will never be enough for what you always wanted, and I hope you forgive me. You'll find someone, someday. Just work on your approach, and stop being such an open book. Wow. Oh my god. Well, I'm gonna have to end the video here, but holy crap. I guess it all comes to a good end after all. I mean, obviously it's not the ending yet, but compared to how dark some of the, especially like the middle part of the story seems to have been, it definitely seems that it seems so strange from without knowing Sid's true objective for doing what he did. It all seems so really strange, right? But just when he explains it, it all just becomes so understandable. And even though that's the strange thing as well, right? He promised to his wife that he promised that Rudo shall never feel loneliness. And in a strange way, even though he directly didn't keep that promise, indirectly by creating this rune, or bringing Rune back to life and having him accept her as family, he's done it in a way as well, which is just much more beautiful than, just being by his side and being for him in that way. This is making Rudo understand and accept things with his own eyes, and just him accepting it for himself rather than someone else telling him to just accept it. Holy crap. Well, it seems like Rune is gonna join us, so yeah, in the next video, I think we're probably gonna try and get back to Rughzenhaide with the three of us. So yeah, look forward to that. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe for more, and I'll see you then. Peace!